Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Y'all saw the thumbnail. This is the Priest of Midian YouTube channel. Priest of Midian. Midian means contention and strife. Okay? Priest of Midian. So yeah, today we have Mr. Rich Tidwell, who has been going somewhat viral lately for some of his teachings, specifically the one about who is Edom. I would say he did a fairly good job of breaking down who are the current day Edomites. Okay. Now, I'm not going to hold you guys in suspense. Mr. Tidwell understands that the modern day Jewish are actually Edomites. They're Esau. Okay. And I guess with that teaching, he was elevated to this level of prophetdom. Okay. Now, I will say that when I saw this video, I already knew what he was going to say. I knew that he was going to find a way to say that the Israelites or Israel are quote unquote the European whites. Some way I knew he was going to find his way there some kind of way. And the reason he's able to do that is because he is deceived and he has a lustful heart. He wants it so bad that he will find any way possible to put himself and his people in that position. It's a form of jealousy. Okay. Now let me check my volume, check my mic, make sure I'm able to be heard. 1 second. All right, we're good. All right, now let me say this first and foremost, everyone. I'm not hateful. White lives matter. Okay? Can you see that? White lives matter. All right? But you're not Israel. All right? Now, I'm not going to watch this entire video because I don't want to get any kind of copyright strikes or any kind of issues with this guy. But I'm going to play the first maybe 30 seconds or so, maybe a little bit longer. Then I'm just going to stop it. And then I'm just going to go straight to the rebuttal on why he's wrong. Okay. And there's one thing that he mentioned that just totally lets you know that this guy is not of the spirit. Anybody who leans on something like DNA, you're not dealing with God. DNA is sorcery and false science. DNA is not the truth. The Bible doesn't say, thus saith the DNA. Oh, my holy children that have the Y haplogroup or whatever the heck y'all got going on with that. That's not of God. It's literally a satanic device used to deceive, mislead, and lead astray. Okay? So here we go. We're going to play his video here. Now, I'm being fair with you guys. I didn't watch this whole video. I went straight to the comment section and asked the question. And I got my answer from Rich Tidwell himself. And we'll look at that shortly. Here we go. 1 second.
Today's message is, who is Israel? Everybody say, who is Israel? That is one of the questions that's been popping up in my comments on YouTube and on Rumble the most. Who is Israel? If we've determined that modern day Ashkenazis, for the most part, are Edomites, then who is ethnic Israel? And you're going to get several answers. However, I think it's very interesting that we know that from Abraham and from Shem, there would be many nations, and also that Israel itself is many nations, and that just Ephraim by himself was going to be many nations. And so when I think of who ethnic Israel is, I think that they must be a large group of people, not a small group. I think a lot of people think that Israel must be some guys hiding in a cave somewhere, like waiting to figure that out, that they're Israel again. But I'm of the assumption, and in my studies on this topic, I've come from the assumption of, no, the scriptures are really clear that Abraham would have descendants as numerous as the stars, and also that just Ephraim itself was going to be many nations. And then adding to that the rest of the tribes, we should be finding a large group of people being the Israelites on earth. And so I'm excited to answer this question. And I thought a great way to pick up from where we've been during the Synagogue of Satan series and during the Edomite hypothesis, which, by the way, if you haven't read the article I wrote, I think it's really important to read it in order to understand where I'm going now. Because what we're doing is each week that I'm preaching, in between these sermons, I'm deeply studying throughout the week, not just a little bit of study. I'm really spending a lot of time burning the midnight oil, reading old texts,
Okay, and that's the difference between me and him. I'm not going to do any studying. I'm just going to go off the top of the dome and pretty much rebuke and rebuttal everything that he may have said in this video. Okay. Now, before watching the video, I saw it and I said, oh my goodness, I know he's going to say it's white people or Europeans. I just know it. You can tell that this guy is moving off his own heart. So I put a comment in here. I put, is this guy going to say that quote unquote white people are Jacob? Just asking. And then I got all kinds of comments. Yes. He will also mention the curse of Ham. Then there's other people. And then he responded. Rich Tidwell responded to my comment. And he says, R1A and R1B are Israelite lines. What scripture is that? Though it's predominantly European, they are both European and Africans with that paternal lineage. May the Lord Jesus bless you. Man, you can't bless me, guy. And I'm coming at you like that. You don't have the authority from God to bless me like that, Mr. Rich Tidwell. But he's talking about DNA, and that should be a red flag for you people. DNA? Really? God is going to know, and the children of Israel are going to know who they are by their DNA. You got to think about that from a godly perspective. Take all your feelings and emotions out of it. From a godly perspective, you telling me God is dealing with DNA? You need to go take a DNA test. And I'll say this to anyone, because there's a lot of quote unquote black Israelites that have this mentality of looking at DNA studies and stuff like that. Dude, you are deceived by the deceiver. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to go from pretty much, I'm just going to just let the Spirit take it where it go to show you how white Europeans are not the children of Israel. You don't even fit any of the characteristics of the ancient Israelites or the modern Israelites for that matter. Nothing about Europeans, as they're so-called today, match the energy, spirit, history, or anything of the Israelites. Okay? So he's coming with the whole DNA argument, which right there you lost. God's not dealing with you. And the reason I'm getting on this, guys, because I'm going to tell you, Mr. Rich Tidwell, you better be careful about the souls you are leading right now. Because for every one soul that you lead astray from the truth, you will be judged. You will be judged. So my saying to you would be to repent and try again. Right now, you're following your own lustful heart. You want it so bad that you want to find a way to see yourselves as the people. Now, let's just use common sense right here, guys. We all know the story, right? And by the way, I'm wearing my Yeezy season 10 hoodie. Yeezy season. Look, let's look at this from a practical standpoint. Are you telling me that the quote unquote white European took Australia, they took South Africa, they took the Americas. The French own 85 to 90% of the African banks, just to come, God in the last day, come and save you. Where's your history of captivity? If I ask any European on the street today, who are you and where do you come from? No matter how long they've been in America, most of them are going to be able to tell me some kind of way that they're French or they trace back to Germany or England or Slovakia, one of these countries, Russia. They can trace something back. That doesn't fit the description of Israel. And you got to ask yourself another question. Why is it that in order for this new existence that we live in today, this new world, this new reality that we're living in right now, why did certain peoples have to be conquered and put into captivity in order for this new world to be birthed? Why is that? So I guess according to all the stories that we're told, white Europeans are the Egyptians, you guys are the Greeks, the Romans, your Herod, your Jesus, everything. Here, look at this image right here. And I talked about this before. You just got to use common sense here. If Jesus looked like this, do you think this image would be so readily available? Are you guys insane? Do you think the image of Jesus would be this readily available and this promoted throughout the earth if he looked like this? And no one can go inside this Bible and show me any scripture of any Israelite looking like this. Where is it? Where is it? The reason these images exist is because when the Jesus makes his return in the flesh on earth, not through a spaceship, not riding on a really literal white horse in the sky, they don't want you to recognize him. All right, so let's get into this. Let's go to Revelations 19 and 10. And I want to say this first and foremost, while you guys are screaming about DNA. This is John the Revelator. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. The testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And you listen to my words throughout the rest of this stream here, and you're going to see. It's the spirit of prophecy, not the spirit of DNA test. Not the spirit of theologian schools and seminaries. Now I'm going to go ahead and get straight to the point. White people, you guys predominantly are Japheth. You're Japheth. And here's where you guys get confused. Watch this. This is Genesis 9 and 27. Many of us are already familiar with the story of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Here was Japheth's blessing. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Why does it say he shall dwell in the tents of Shem? Because that's exactly what you guys are doing now. You're dwelling in the tents of Shem. Keep in mind, European gods were like Zeus, Thor, Achilles, all these weird gods. Now you guys are into this Christianity thing, which is actually a religion that comes from Shem. the Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. You're dwelling in the tents of Shem. And there's more layers to this prophecy that we'll get into. Let's look at what Japheth means and get a deeper understanding of Japheth. We're going to click on this Strong's understanding here. And maybe I'll be able to find it. If not, we'll move on. But I'll go ahead and speak to it now. Japheth means silly, open, deceived, deceiver. We're going to look at the root word. Here it goes. This is the root word for Japheth. To be spacious, wide open, open-minded, be simple, be naive. You have to be really, really, really naive to think that you guys are the Israelites. And I'm not saying this to be disrespectful. I'm saying this as a matter of truth. To be enticed, be deceived, be gullible. And that's what's going on right now. You guys are sitting around here walking around like you have authority over the scriptures and you don't fit any of the prophecies. As I said here, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. You guys don't fit the prophecy. DNA. So let's look at Jacob and Esau. Here's where you guys may be getting confused. Let's look at Jacob and Esau. So we're going to go straight to the birth of Jacob and Esau. We'll start from Genesis 25 and 24. And when her days to be delivered, this is Rebecca we're talking about. She's pregnant with twins. And when her day, now listen, hold on, let's go with 25 and 23 to get a better understanding. This is how you know that they were different. They looked different. They had two different appearances, Jacob and Esau, and they had two different spirits in them. They were fraternal twins. They were not identical. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay? And after that came his brother out. Now keep in mind, they don't describe Jacob. They only describe Esau, said he was hairy. Now we know the story that Esau sold his birthright, and Esau is selling his birthright even till today. And we're going to get into that a little bit if it comes to my remembrance as we go on. He's selling his birthright today. Okay? As a matter of fact, let's get straight to the birthright. Let's get straight to the birthright. So we know the story that Isaac was getting old in age and his eyes were getting dim, and he called his son Esau to make him a meal so that his soul may be blessed. Okay? So let's check it out right here. And it came to pass when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, like I said, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. And he said, behold, now I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now, therefore, take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go to the field and take me some venison. All right, we're going to skip down a little bit. And Rebekah heard Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison. Okay? Now watch this. Rebekah tells Jacob, bring me venison. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let's start from here. So she overheard Isaac telling Esau, but she went to Jacob and says, you're going to go in there and get the blessing. And we're going to start reading from there. Genesis 27:9. Go now to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat of thy father as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father that he may eat. Okay. And what did Jacob say to Rebekah? And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man. I'm a smooth man. So that tells you right there that they did not feel the same. They didn't look the same. And his mother said unto him, we're skipping down a little bit, upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice and go fetch me them. So Jacob is concerned that when he goes in there, if he doesn't feel like Esau, his father will see him as a deceiver and curse him. And Rebekah says, don't worry about that. If your father finds out, I'll take the curse. Now watch what Rebekah does to Jacob as she sends him in to see his father Isaac. She put skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. So Jacob's skin was so smooth that she had to put the goat hair on his hands and on the smooth of his neck so that if Isaac got close to touch and feel him, it would feel like Esau. These are 2 different men. They look different. They feel different. And this is also prophecy, because in the later days, Jacob would be wearing Esau's skin again. He would feel like Esau again, meaning he would have the image that Esau painted him with. So we know the story. I just wanted to show that part right there. Let's go to the blessing. Let's go to the blessing. This is how you know this is written and has Edomite leanings, because it says the stolen blessing. They want to make Jacob seem like a deceiver when Esau literally sold his birthright, and he's selling it today. We're going to get to the blessing here. Here's the blessing that Isaac gave Jacob. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. How does this fit white people today? Now let's look at Esau's blessing. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and cried out and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Why does it say thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth? Remember, Jacob's blessing was that he would be given. Check it out. Check this out. Everyone looks at this blessing and thinks it's the same blessing. It's nowhere near the same blessing. Genesis 27:28 says, therefore God give of thee the dew of heaven. God's going to give him the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth. But Esau's blessing is to dwell. Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. I'm going to show you why that's that. You watch. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. This is why Edomites today are always the advisors. They're always the advisors to whatever nation or kingdom that has dominion over the earth. There's going to be an Edomite advising him. That's why he dwells. Your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. He puts himself in these positions to be the advisor. Why is that? Because Esau was blessed with the sword. Esau is the only person, the only entity, the only spirit, the only nation that has a God-given ordained blessing to be able to subdue Jacob. I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say that China wanted to subdue Jacob and they tried to do it on their own, it would fail immediately. They have to go through Esau. They have to go through Esau. Esau is the middleman. I'm going to show you how it played out in the New Testament with Jesus. Esau is the middleman. His blessing is the sword. He shall dwell. Okay? His dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth because he's going to be the advisor to Barack Obama. He's going to be the advisor to Trump. He's going to be the advisor in Iran with the Persians and Medes. He's going to be the advisors even to the Egyptians to a certain degree. He's always going to play that role of middleman if you want to subdue Jacob. That's his blessing. That's his blessing. But everything Esau does will serve his brother Jacob. Everything's on a clock, on a celestial clock. If you look at all the captivities of Israel, the main captivities of Israel, there was always an Edomite there advising. We talk about Purim all the time, okay, with the Persians and Medes and how that whole thing went down. And they talk about this guy Haman. Well, Haman was an Edomite advising the king, who some say is Xerxes. He's always there as the advisor because he's been gifted the sword, and not just the physical sword when you think about military, the ability to cut off Jacob's blessing. So now we get some of the characteristics of Esau and some of the characteristics of Jacob. All right. Now, here's the thing. And Esau hated Jacob. We're in Genesis 27 and 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So Esau's hatred towards Jacob is because he received the blessing. Let me tell you why Esau doesn't like quote unquote white people. You know why he doesn't like white people? Let me tell you why he doesn't like white people. And we talked about it earlier. Let me get to it. Here, we'll just go here. We'll do it this way. Work with me here. Because of this blessing right here, Jacob's got. This is why. This is the only reason why. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. That's it. It's not even deeper than that. Japheth will dwell in the tents of Shem, which later became Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, is that priestly line, that spiritual heavenly line. Japheth will dwell there. And Esau's jealous of that as well, whether you believe it or not. So that's where the hatred of quote unquote white people comes from. Because that's their prophecy. You see them doing it now. These so-called white European Christians, a lot of them love Christianity. They love it to the point where they think it's theirs. They think Jesus is even white. They eat it up. And that's going to be a threat to Esau. There's something about Jacob's spirit that draws Japheth to it. And that's where the hatred comes from. No more, no less. All right. Now let's go to now here's what's going on right now. Here's what's going on right now. We talked about Jacob and Esau. We talked about how Jacob received the blessing. Esau was upset that Jacob received the blessing and that he sought to kill Jacob. Because of that, Rebekah told Jacob to go live with her brother Laban, to flee from Esau's wrath. Okay? She said, Jacob, get out of here because your brother, as far as him touching you, as far as him wanting to be close to you and getting close and touch you, he wants to kill you. We're going to talk about that as well. How that plays out today. Okay? How that even plays out today. How Esau touching Israel is so that they can kill Israel. It's happening today. Fake love, as they call it. So we're going to move forward in the story here. We're in Genesis 31. Now we know the story of Jacob. He went to go live with his with his mother's brother. He married Leah and Rachel. He became prosperous. You know how he was able to increase his cattle and whatnot. And he became very, very wealthy. Now let's look at what happened with Laban. Because we know that Laban kept, he was doing Jacob wrong. He would say one thing and then do another. He would say, okay, 7 more years. He kept changing his wages and whatnot. Now let's look at Laban. Now this is just a side note here. What does Laban mean, guys? What does Laban mean? Laban or Laban, however you want to pronounce it. Laban means white. Now, I'm not saying that Laban was quote unquote white, but it means white. Because remember, I told you the spirit of the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And I'm going to show you prophecy that's going to happen right here. Laban means white. Laban means white, ladies and gentlemen. Of all the words, it literally means white. Watch this. Now, this is what happened after Jacob had amassed enormous wealth. It was clear that God was with Jacob. What did Laban and his sons do? Genesis 31:1. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. That's what's going to happen today in these times. White. Okay, remember Laban represents white. They're going to realize, oh my goodness, these Negroes have gotten the glory, and their face is going to change. You see it happen now. When a quote unquote black person says that we're the seed of Jacob and that we're Israel, their countenance changes. Their face changes. They get upset. They want to make jokes and say, we was kings. This is a prophecy, guys. Everything plays out in cycles. It happened in an individual level here, and it's going to happen on a grand level again. You mark my words. That's why God gave you a message, white people. He's trying to give you a message, tell you to chill out. We're trying to tell you to chill out. It's going to be okay if you just follow the truth. Chill out. But they face changes when they realize that Jacob received the glory. And what does Laban mean? What does Laban mean? White. So these white people, their face is going to get a little bit, Jacob get my father's land. Don't they act like, they look how they talk about America, the land of America. White people feel like this is their land and their forefathers this, and we built this country. But when they find out that it's not their blessing and the glory is going to go to someone else, a lot of them are going to be very upset about that, ladies and gentlemen. You mark my words. Now let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Now, hold on. Let's get more information on how Israelites could not be, quote unquote, Europeans. And I talked about this before. This is after Moses, an Israelite from the tribe of Levi, fled Egypt because he had murdered an Egyptian. He fled and he helped Ruel's daughters water their flock of sheep and lambs and cattle and things that they had there. And how did they describe Moses? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds. So Moses was confused to be an Egyptian, not a daggone European. And for anyone who wants to say that Egypt was ran by quote unquote white people, you're insane. You're following the same Edomite bullcrap narrative that they want you to be in. Egypt was conquered by the Greeks, the Persians and Medes for a while, the Romans, and eventually Muhammad. Not Muhammad specifically, but Mohammedism, Islam. And the people that are in that land today are Islamic Arabs, not the original people. Let me see what my man Moses is saying. Thank you. We have love. That's what we're trying to tell you. We have love. We have a love for everyone. We have a love for the truth. We're not here to hurt you people. I don't complain about slavery because I understand that it had to happen. I don't even like calling it slavery. I call it captivity. We're literally in captivity right now. This is our captivity. And we're right under your noses, world. And you fail to see it because your heart is hard. Because you have hatred in your heart. And the last thing that you want, because you're so lustful in your heart and so prideful, is for it to be us. You know why you have a problem with it? Because like I showed you in the blessing earlier, we're wearing Esau's skin. Jacob is literally wearing Esau's skin. We are looked at by the image that Esau created for us. Black, Negro, savage, Indian, gangster, killer. We're wearing his skin. So Moses was confused to be an Egyptian. Let's look at what happened to Moses. Exodus 4:6. This is Moses receiving confirmation from the Most High God that God is with him. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thy hand in thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow when he pulled it out. How could a pale-skinned European, why would God do that? It doesn't make sense. And I showed you in a previous video what that looks like. Y'all seen black, quote unquote, black people when their skin starts to turn white? That's an amazing thing. But you guys want to skip over this stuff. And the reason you don't see a lot of color scriptures in the Bible is because this whole idea of race and your skin color is a fairly new Edomite language. This is new. This has all been presented to us to divide us, separate us, and mislead us from the truth. They didn't look at it like that. That's not how the world operated back then. It's funny because some of you guys think you guys are getting the truth, so you'll find out one thing that's a lie and then run to another lie. How is this Pastor Tidwell going to talk about some dang on DNA? You all up in the Bible, reading the Bible, and you find one truth, and then you run to a lie. Miriam turned leprous as snow. Let's talk about the hair. The descriptions of the Israelites when it came to their hair texture. White Europeans do not have hair like wool. We got to quit playing games, okay? I'm telling y'all to help y'all. We got to quit playing games. Europeans do not have hair like wool. Stop playing with God, y'all. This is Daniel's vision of the Most High. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. This is Daniel 7-9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. What are we talking about? DNA, what? What are we talking about? What are we talking about right now? That's Negro hair texture. Wool? And everybody knows the scripture. This is so like, it's getting redundant, and it's getting to the point now, like Ye said in his Bully album. He said, man, we don't even want to talk about it no more. So we almost past done talking, man. It's about that time when we just done talking. God gonna have to show y'all. Revelations 1:14. His head and his hairs were white like wool. This is the description of who you guys know and who we all know is Jesus the Christ. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Let's get more detail. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. You can't find me one European man that fits that description. And he dang on sure don't look like this. So what are we doing? What are we doing? DNA, what? And it told you that we're going to do this. You guys have this book here. This is the Apocrypha. This was originally inside of the original King James Version of the Bible. Okay? There's other books in here, like I think Esther, the second book of Esther, first and second Maccabees. But let's look at one scripture here, and it tells you how these this calls them heathens. I don't want to call y'all heathens. I'd rather call y'all Gentiles. I'd rather call y'all Gentiles, okay, than call y'all heathens. All right? Watch this. This is first Maccabees, chapter, I want to say it's 3 and 47. Yeah, 3 and 47. Now, this is during the time of the Greeks, when the Greeks came in to try to conquer Israel with the Edomites. Remember, these nations have to use Edom in order to conquer Jacob and to subdue Jacob. They have to use Edom because Edom is the only nation on earth that has been given the authority by God to subdue Jacob when Jacob sins. When Jacob sins against God and turns his back towards God, Esau is given the authority by God to subdue Jacob. No other nation has that blessing. First Maccabees 3, and I'm gonna go straight to verse I got bad eyes. 48. Let's go to 47. No, we'll go straight to 48. And they laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness, sought to paint their likeness. I'm sorry, the likeness of their images. Let me read that again. I really messed that up. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So what they did when they subdued Jacob, they went into our books and they read about David. They read about Solomon. They read about Jesus. They read about Paul. They read, Paul wasn't operating, but they read about these people and then they go paint them in their likeness. And that's why you get images like this. This is all Renaissance stuff. Let's dig into this Renaissance period. Everyone wants to talk about the Greater Israel Project. Greater Israel, Greater Israel. Manifest Destiny was Greater Israel, dummy. The Manifest Destiny, that was the Greater Israel Project, whether you understand that or not. Dum Diversus is a significant papal bull issued June 18th, 1452 by Pope Nicholas V. It's widely recognized as a foundational document for the transatlantic slave trade and European colonialism. How are you going to be these people and Israel? Pastor Tidwell, Mr. Tidwell. How are you going to be Israel and the Europeans that unawares you guys were conquering God's people and you didn't even know it? That's the irony of it. You Europeans were used to conquer God's people and you didn't even know it. They tricked you. Because remember, you're easily deceived. We look at the definition of Japhet, gullible, deceived, silly. They tricked you guys. Now watch this. Dum Diversus authorized the enslavement of West African Negroes and American Indians. You are correct. Dum Diversus provided the first major legal and religious green light for the enslavement, and they call us non-Christian peoples. Now here's the interesting thing about Dum Diversus. When you look at the time frame, see everything they mislead us to make us think that these solar eclipses and lunar eclipses and the alignment of the planets mean nothing. Okay, they have these fake scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever the hell his name is to make you seem like it's just some random event happening, up there. It's just space, but that's the celestial clock. That's the celestial clock designed by God, and it's like that because man can't touch it. When you see a comet, like the other day, that comet slammed into the sun, that's a celestial sign. It's not just happenstance. It means something. Trust me, the Vatican and these sages and these rabbis, they know exactly what it means. In the 1450s, there were 2 solar eclipses that happened. Dum Diversus was signed within days of those eclipses, because those eclipses signify the rebirth of Edom's power in his sword. After Rome fell in around 479 AD, began what they call the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages. That's when Jacob, the spirit of Jacob, rose again and had major influence over the earth. That's why you see all this beautiful architecture, all these beautiful towns and cities that they destroyed, because that was Jacob's reign. That was his 1,000-year reign that the Bible speaks of. It happened from around 500 AD to around 1500 AD, 1,000 years. And once they saw the eclipses happen, they knew that it was their time to rule again for a short period. That's why Dumb Diverses was signed at this time. It's not just some happenstance. It's not a coincidence. You guys can Google on your own time what eclipses took place in the 1450s. Matter of fact, let's do it now. We got time tonight. Here, let's go here. Oh, I want to act funny. Oh, here it is. Here it goes. The 1450s, several notable eclipses occurred, with some having a major impact on historical events. Look at that. Significant eclipses. May 22nd, 1453, partial lunar eclipse. This eclipse is famously linked to the fall of Constantinople. Wow, how, think about that. June 17th, let's look at this eclipse right here. June 17th, 1450, total solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse occurred early in the decade. While less documented in specific political narratives, it remains part of the astronomical record for the mid 15th century. So June 17th, 1450. And let's look at Dumb Diverses and see if it tells us when it was signed. Look, June 18th, 1452. It's the same time frame. They do these things around the celestial clock, guys. As I mentioned in prior videos, those two eclipses that occurred, the one that happened in 2017, and then the other one that happened 7 years later in 2024, that formed that X across America, was a sign that Edom's sword and his rule are over. Have you noticed the level of distractions that have taken place since 2020? They're trying to do everything to distract you all from what's about to happen. They want to steal that energy. X marks the spot. 2017, eclipse across America. 2024, 7 years later, another eclipse. It's over. And they know it. And who did Dumb Diverses target? They didn't go into Europe and capture the Israelites out of Europe. They went into West Africa. They went into the Americas. You don't see how that the start of the Renaissance period started with the capturing and captivity of people living in West Africa and the Americas? Y'all don't put two and two together? You think that's just random? No, they had to capture Jacob. Jacob had dominion. Jacob had spiritual influence over the earth. It's not even that complicated. It's really not complicated, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at another thing that proves Matthew 2 and 16. I'm going to show you where they want to do the abortion agenda and how the abortion agenda has always been a tool used against the children of Israel. Now, Herod got mocked. So it says Herod slaughters babies. Wow, sounds like Planned Parenthood to me, doesn't it? Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So he went in and committed abortion, basically. Just like they did in Egypt, just like they do in Americans with the quote unquote blacks. This is Margaret Sanger. This is what Margaret Sanger wrote. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger, your Planned Parenthood mastermind. We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. This is the agenda. And you telling me that you white Europeans are the people of Israel? Show me the agenda to kill y'all like this. Where's the agenda to erase your identity? Where's that agenda happening at in the earth right now? Show me. You don't find it strange that of all the people on earth right now, with all the information that has been brought to light, that no one has seemed to identify these quote unquote black people here in America? Black people are extremely influential, but yet and still we have no identity? How is that possible without an agenda? But we're awakening. We're awakening right now. We're coming out of our slumber. We're coming out of our amnesia. And the more and more we wake up, the more and more this Edomite sword system is going to fall. And what they're going to do is make the salvation of God appear like a terrorist threat. You watch. All you Christian Zionists out there are going to be filled to the brim with hatred to go after the people of God. All you Rich Tidwell supporters who some kind of way think that DNA is the determining factor of who Israel is. All you followers of this guy are going to look at us like we're the liars, but we're really coming for salvation to help the whole world. And you will be destroyed if you follow that doctrine. You will be destroyed. So I'm here as a person to try to help you. I'm here to shine light, not darkness. Nothing in the Bible speaks of that. Now look, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and then we're going to get out of here. Deuteronomy chapter 28 is a very famous chapter in the Bible because it explains, I'm going to go to another one too, Psalms 83. It explains what would happen to the children of Israel over and over again. They would go in and out of captivity. Let's read these curses. This is Moses talking to the children of Israel on what would happen if they followed God and what would happen if they turned their back on God. And let's see if this matches the European experience or the quote unquote Black American experience. And I'm liable to read every single one. Behold, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations upon the earth, or nations of the earth. And all the blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt hearken, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. These are the type of things that were happening in those dark ages. They tell you guys that nothing was going on. This is what life was like in the dark ages, in the Middle Ages, that they don't know anything about. So this is I'm going to show you what dark ages look like, the Middle Ages, and then I'm going to show you the curses to show you what this Renaissance period looks like that you guys love so much. This Greco-Roman civilization that you guys have been force-fed to love so much looks like. Okay, here's the dark ages. We're reading it right now. The Lord shall cause thy enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, in all that thou settest thy hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways. And all the people out of the earth shall see thee. Excuse me, let me start over. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. And the Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give thee give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail. And the Lord shall be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. And if thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. Those are the blessings that were promised to the children of Israel if they walked in the ways of God. This is what was happening in the dark ages. Okay? But then for a time, Israel began to get a little arrogant, and we started to stray away. And guess what happened? Dumb diverses. 1452. Here they come. Here's the beginning of your quote unquote European experience that is ran by Esau. See, here's what they do. Remember, as I told y'all before earlier in this video, Esau is the only nation given the ordainment by God to subdue Jacob. That's why you see these Jewish advisors all up in your government. You wonder why? They have to be next to Obama. They have to be next to Trump. They have to. That's why you're able to see it and point it out. You're like, why are they always having a Jewish advisor? Why? They have to. Literally, they have to. Or it won't work. That's their blessing, the sword. They literally have to be in that position. That's why it's so obvious. That's why it's in your face. So here's dumb diverses. They saw the celestial, the heavens give the order that the children of Israel would be given over for a time period. And here they go taking advantage of it right away. Now let's look at what life looks like after dumb diverses for the children of Israel. And let's see if it fits European Caucasians, as y'all call yourselves. Now keep in mind, the blessings are short because it's straight to the point. Look at all the consequences of disobedience as it's labeled here. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Well, that doesn't fit Europeans because you guys are farmers. You have stores. It's not hurting you. I don't see black people with any stores and stuff like that. We're cursed in the city. They talk about it all the time. Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Dallas. Aren't we cursed in the cities? Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Black people don't have major businesses. We don't have ownership of these things. White people do. Europeans do. Because you're being used by Edom. Look, they talk about the immigration now. You see these quote unquote white people upset about immigration. You don't realize that you were the first immigrants. You were the first immigrants over here. You were the first quote unquote Indians. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy and all them people that you guys are upset about being over here. You were literally the first of that. In the same way they set these Indians up with gas stations, they set y'all up with land. It's the same game plan. But now they're trying to dilute the land and cause confusion. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Aren't black people very disobedient people known as black. One, we don't even know who we are. We're in amnesia right now. Aren't we cursing every way? Don't you guys look at us and say, what is up with these people? These blacks. Don't y'all say that? Don't y'all say that? The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed. We are destroyed right now. And until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. And we have forsaken God. That's why I don't blame these other nations. I don't blame y'all. That's why when Yates said slavery was a choice, he's talking about Deuteronomy 28. And the Edomite media knows that. They know that. The red media, they know exactly what he's talking about. That's why they demonize that statement so much. To have y'all turn against your brother, because they know exactly what he was speaking to. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. Do we own land right now as a quote unquote black people? Do we have massive swaths of land? Do we have factories? Do we own any major industry, or are we signed to other people? The Lord shall smite thee with consumption, and with a fever, and with the inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with the blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Every disease known to man is affecting the quote unquote black community, from diabetes. They'll create something called AIDS, and we lead in that. Heart disease, obesity, cancers. All these things are cleaving to us right now for our disobedience. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be as iron. Doesn't it feel like that for a lot of us? We try to go up, there's brass up there. We can't make it to the top without something stopping us. Ye talked about this. I like to use it as an example. He said when he got to a certain level, they was like, no, you can't go higher. When we go down, it's like iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed until all kingdoms of the earth. This is dumbed out verses. When they came here with Columbus and all them people and the Spaniards and the French, the Indians, us Indians tried to fight. We couldn't do it because we had turned away from God and we got destroyed. We weren't able to win those victories. We lost the battles. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. We're dying out here, and it's hopefully getting better slowly. But no one's here to lead us in the right way. None of these other nations are coming to the quote unquote black community to really provide any assistance to us. They're watching us rot away. No one's spraying away the fowls of the air from us to say, hey, why are you guys letting the rappers promote degeneracy? No one's challenging these record labels to say, why are you allowing that? Because they're all together against us. And I'm going to show you all that in Psalms 83 after this. I'm going to show you all that. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou cannot be healed. We can't be healed. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Aren't we crazy right now as a people? You still got some of us out here thinking the Democrat Party is going to save us. You got some of us clinging on to this FBA identity now. Madness, blindness, astonishment of heart. Voting to be Democrat. Scared of everything. Madness, Pan-Africanism. The church is lying to us. Totally wrecked mentally. We don't know which way to go. And thou shalt grope at noonday. This is kind of speaking to what I was saying. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. and no man shall save thee. Aren't we living in that right now, ladies and gentlemen? This is not affecting quote unquote white Europeans, Mr. Tidwell. Where is this affecting you guys? And if you think this is not something, we're going to get to a few verses down. It's going to let you know why this is important. And thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Basically, everything that we do is not for us and our own benefit. No matter what jobs we work, we get married. Adultery runs rampant in our communities right now. Women sleep with all men, all kinds of men. Men are sleeping with other men's wives. All this is happening. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy sons and daughters shall be given unto another people, and then thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in their hand. Now, some people could say that's the captivity, aka slave trade. Yes, it is. When we send our kids to these public schools, we're literally giving our kids to the enemy. We don't even realize it. These public schools. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. That's literally what's happening. Look how many curses. It's still going. Remember, the blessings were, short and to the point, simple life. Now look at all the complications that come with not following God. That's why there's more curses than there are blessings, because there's so many complications that come when you don't follow God as a nation. Deuteronomy 28:34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. I'm feeling like that. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Aren't we serving other gods? We're serving all kinds of gods. You see, people think this is just Christianity and Islam. A lot of brothers will go to that to say that, which I'm not going to say that's necessarily false, but the Democrat Party is a god. The Civil Rights Movement was a god. The NBA is a god. A lot of us just want our sons to make it to the NBA, make it to the NFL. That's a god. This money, the money literally, let me get this. Look at the money. It literally says, where does it say in God we trust? It literally says in God we trust. This is what we serve. This is your God. And look how wicked the symbolism is. You think this pyramid with the eye is something righteous of God? This is the God for a lot of black people. This is the God for a lot of us. Let's keep going. And this is wood, right? They say it comes from paper. Ain't this a form of wood? Come on, man. Good plan. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. How many other people have had so many different names? First we were Negroes, colored, black, African American, nigger. Now they want to call us FBAs. We want to be FBAs. They brought some CIA agent in, some agent to feed y'all some FBA garbage. You don't want to be black. You want to be foundational black. Ooh, nigga, I'm not black. I'm foundational black. Yeah. You know how ignorant you sound? Madness. Madness. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast its fruit. This do not sound like what European whites are going through. Let's skip to this. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Now watch this. Here's the key. Here's the DNA test right here. This is why we shouldn't be dealing with no DNA. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. This is the sign. These are the signs, not DNA markers, not haplogroups. This is the sign. Who has these on them? Let me see what boy Moses wrote. I saw somewhere pose the question, how many other groups of people changed their... Yeah. Or gather in these FBA titles every decade. It's only one group. That's it. We searching, man. We groping at noonday. What does it say? We're going to grope at noonday and all that stuff. We don't know where we at right now. We're totally lost as a people. And it amazes me how in 2026, man, y'all got to really sit with this and let this be in you and think about what I'm saying here. In 2026, this world knows everything about everything, y'all. It knows about the stars and Mars and black holes, the ice age. They could tell you about atoms and nuclear power and all this stuff. All this information. But who are these black people that went into captivity? How has that not been yet proclaimed? That right there should let you know there's an agenda. Think about it. The Samoans know that they're Samoans. They have an island. I'm not saying they're not conquered, but they have an island. The Guamanians, are you telling me God looks more favorably upon the Guamanians and Samoans than he does us? They know their name. They have a name. They're not flipping and flopping. Only one people on earth. The same people that produced Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Name them. All these famous, quote unquote, black people that have all this, have influenced the world. Even your new age rappers, Travis Scott and all these people. Yay. But we're not known. Yeah, they claim all kinds of stuff, man. DNA and all this stuff. But it's all foolishness. It's all a distraction. The truth is stranger than fiction, ladies and gentlemen. It's stranger than fiction. So these are the signs that's going to be on the seed forever. And it's interesting because guess what? The signs of the blessing and the signs of the curse will follow the seed forever. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Now, some people think that means just we don't understand the language. It's not necessarily that we don't understand the quote unquote English language and things like that. We don't understand how your language. Yeah, it's just the way y'all see the world. It doesn't make sense. We don't understand your language. Your logic doesn't make sense to me. The reason y'all do things and why you do it this way, it doesn't make sense. We don't understand that language. It's not just the actual language that comes out. It's the way y'all do business. It doesn't fit right with quote unquote. It doesn't agree with our spirit. That's why they'll say black people have a low IQ. Because we don't comprehend the things like y'all, the way y'all do. We don't see the world the way y'all see the world. So I love that I have a low IQ. I love my low IQ. I'm so glad that God blessed us with low IQs, because I would hate to be the high IQ in this society. You can have that title all you want in this wicked society. You can have it. I'll be the low IQ. Let's get to the main curse. Everyone knows this curse. This does not fit white Europeans. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. That is the story of your Black Americans, guys. Dumb diverses. Dumb diverses. And they want to call us Saracens and pagans and dumb diverses. It's just a smokescreen. Don't let them trick you with these words. It's just a smokescreen. They couldn't tell normal people that they were coming to conquer Jacob. Because some people would say, no, I'm not going over there to take part in that. But they had to make up words like Indian and savage and Saracen and pagan and enemies, so that you Japhetic people and everybody else would have no problem coming over here and taking the land and enslaving people. That's your Deuteronomy 28:68. That's where it started, with dumb diverses. Let's go to Psalm 68. This might be the last, Psalms 83, excuse me. Psalms 83. Psalms 83. This is David. A song or psalm. Think about it. Even the songs. I talked about this before. How many songs are written in the Bible? Who's known for singing songs and making songs? Not white Europeans. That's not y'all energy like that. I'm not saying y'all don't sing, but there ain't nobody listening to that really like that. These people were songwriters. They were dancers. David danced one day, and it was so much that his wife got jealous and said, why you dancing like that in front of all these women? And he had to sit her butt down. David had swag, yo. These people had swag. These weren't no lames. You think David and them look like this? Like some insurance salesman? No swag? Give me a break, bro. A Song of Solomon. Excuse me. I didn't mean to say that. A song or psalm of Asaph. Okay. This is David, allegedly. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Heck no, we ain't switching for them, man. Exactly, bro. We got the swag. We good where we at. We in the best position right now, and nobody know it. But listen, look at here. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Dumb diverses. Dumb diverses, ladies and gentlemen. Crafty counsel. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Who are the only people right now that have been cut off from being a nation? How does this fit this guy's story? He's talking about DNA. There's enough in this book right here that you don't need no dang on DNA. If you're messing with DNA, you've been deceived. You're using the devil. You're talking like a devil, a deceiver. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against the hidden ones. We the hidden ones. We're right under your noses. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. They all against us, y'all. And who's the first one in the spot? The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes. And it lists all the nations that were against us. All the nations. And it finally says, who said, this is what the nation said they're going to do to us. Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. That's that new world they talk about. When they came over here and told y'all that America was just some barren land full of Indians. No, it wasn't. This is God's land. All up and down North and South America, the islands, all that is us. And they took the house of God into possession. And you can read Psalms 83, guys, on your own. This is what they did. And they used you to do it. They use you to do it. Now I'm just going to talk for a second, then I'm going to get out of here. Like I said before, Edom is your current Jewish people only. All quote unquote white Europeans are not Edomites. It's just Jewish people. The same way not all quote unquote black people are Hamites. Here's the mystery between Jacob and Esau. The mystery is that Jacob could hide amongst the Hamitic nations, the darker nations, and Esau could hide and mingle amongst the fairer skinned nations, the quote unquote European nation. That's one of the mysteries, guys. And what Esau does, he goes to the other nations and says, listen, hey, look, you want to take down Jacob? I can help you with that. I can help you with that. Okay? And he mingles with their elites and devises a plan, like Psalms 83 says, to help take down the children of Israel. They have to be the middlemen. Why do you think Herod, here's a prime example, as I said I was going to get to. Why do y'all think Herod, now Herod wasn't a European per se, he was an Edomite. I've shown y'all this before. Herod, the name of a royal family that flourished among the Jews in the times of Christ and the apostles. Herod the Great was the son of Antipater of Idumea. Idumea is the Greek variation for the word Edomite or Edom. But the Romans placed Herod, an Edomite, in charge of Judea. The Roman Senate had to place an Edomite over Judea because Edom has been granted the authority and blessing from God to subdue Jacob. That's why he had to be there. That's why they're here now. It's the same thing playing out over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even complicated. It's not complicated. So when Ye mentions Jared Kushner being so close to Trump, he's Herod. They're the advisors. They have to be there. If you Japhetic nations, European nations tried on your own to conquer Jacob and subdue Jacob, it wouldn't work. You don't have that spiritual blessing. And a lot of y'all are too dumb to know the difference. Y'all think that y'all able to be over here doing what y'all do because y'all got it like that. You don't got it like that. You don't got it like that. God has allowed this to happen. And you're taking it as some kind of thing that you're blessed, not realizing that you're just being used. What the Edomites do is use Japheth's military might to conquer the Israelites. That's all they did. And I'm telling you right now, this thing is going to shake out, and it's shaking out now. That's why I'm not even mad with this guy. I'm glad we're having these conversations. Let's have these conversations. Let's have these conversations. And guess what? Everyone's going to have to make a decision. As I said before, and I'll say it again, we're not against y'all. We're not against y'all. We tell you the truth. And God's going to choose Israel again and set us above all nations to be a light unto the Gentiles. We're not going to call you Goyim. We're not going to Epstein you guys. We're not going to 9/11 y'all. Okay? We're not going to do the usury and interest rate y'all to death. We're gonna rule with righteous authority, godly authority, just like we did in the dark ages. It's gonna be beautiful. But it's gonna be some of those that are gonna look at the salvation as a threat. You watch what I say. This Edomite system is gonna paint the salvation of God as some type of terrorist enemy threat. You watch. They're already doing it. Y'all heard about Ye? They're pulling some of the sponsors from him performing in Europe, in London or whatever the case may be, calling him a Nazi. Did you ever think you would live the day where you would see a black man being called a Nazi? And a Jew hater and all these derogatory terms that they use to call this man? Who would have ever thought that the slave would be the threat? So they're already trying to paint the picture. Jay Navi, young basketball player, telling these basketball players, hey, y'all sinning. Y'all, even that's coming from God some kind of way. Oh, don't push that religion on us. You. I find it funny that according to the narrative, the slave masters gave us this book. That's what they taught us, right? They teach black people that we didn't know nothing about Christianity. Christianity been around for 2,000 years. And they make it seem like black people had no idea about Christianity. You know how dumb that sounds? But let's just say that story's true, that blacks didn't know nothing about this until y'all gave it to us. Isn't it funny that when a guy like Jay Navi goes into the same book that y'all say y'all gave us and reads out of it, and y'all call him a hater? You gave us the book, right? You gave us the book. Now we're reading out of it and say, that's unrighteous. He's a hater. When you gave me the book. All this hypocrisy, bro, is being put to the light. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. Hey, Moses, if you're still in here, man, appreciate you hanging out. But let me say this to you real quick. I'm going to make you a moderator too, man. Hey, go blue tonight. You know that, right, Moses? What you got for the final score tonight, bro? Hey, that's it for the presentation. Listen, white Europeans, guys, you're not Israelites, okay? Cut the shit out. You got to cut it out. Y'all want to be the Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, the damn Mayans, the fucking Indians, everything. You're not. You're Japheth. You're not even, you have no authority at all. God made you a promise that you could dwell in the tents of Shem, and that's it. That's it. Don't let this dumbed out verses go to your head. All right? So I guess Moses is out of here. And that's cool. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all stopping by as usual. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. Still Yeezy season. All right. All praises be to God. Lord, please let this message reach at least 1, 2, 3, whoever it reaches, Lord, that it may bring them a little bit closer to the truth. I know I have an awkward style. Okay. I know I have a different way, but it's all of you, God. You made me who I am. All right. Let me see. I know, bro. Y'all have that winning pedigree. I'll give you that, man. You got that championship pedigree. So I think you're right about that. Michigan does probably have the better roster, but I don't put nothing past these UConn, a team like UConn who has that winning pedigree. You guys been winning. It's like in your blood right now. Y'all remind me of like Duke back in like the 90s, late 90s when they was beating up on everybody with Grant Hill and them type of guys. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes, man. So I'm gonna be watching it, man. Go blue. You know what I'm saying? All day though on this side, big dog. All right, man. I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Everybody have a blessed one. And like I always say, I'll see you next time.